The hero of this story is a lone wolf, known in the region as Kyle. He lives in icy northern mountains, a vast and dangerous territory where snow and howling winds are your only companions. Since he was a puppy, he learned to survive alone, becoming an agile and silent hunter. Despite his strength and resistance, he feels the absence of a pack, a void that he fills only with his incessant search for food and shelter. In a cold and foggy dawn, Kyle roams a narrow valley, sniffing the air for prey. The ice crunches beneath his paws, and his breath clouds the frigid air. He doesn't realize that, above him, hover sinister shadows, a bunch of giant crows, territorial. Creatures known for attacking intruders who approach their nests. Finding a deer trail, Kyle approaches cautiously, his instincts sharp. He spots a lone prey, and just as he's about to attack, a high-pitched scream, short or sharp. From high in the dry trees, crows swoop down on him in a shadowy swarm. Their sharp claws dig into their fur, and their beaks peck furiously at their skin. The wolf jumps and spins in the air, trying to get away from the attackers, but the attack is fierce. The conflict is launched. Kyle needs to escape the bird attack while fighting the extreme cold and his own fear of facing a threat that he cannot simply knock down with his teeth. Kyle runs through the dry trees, jumping over snow-covered rocks, trying to outrun the giant crows. But they are fast and determined. Its black wings fill the sky like a living cloud, casting haunting shadows across the white ground. Every peck and scratch sets his skin on fire, and he feels the heat of his own blood running through his thick fur. He throws himself into a narrow gorge where crows have less space to fly, but this also limits it. With no apparent way out, he leans against an icy stone wall, growling, eyes shining with determination. Crows circle overhead, cawing menacingly. Then a new obstacle. On the other side of the gorge, a huge brown bear, his thick fur covered in snow and ice. The animal smelled Kyle's blood and now slowly advances, its hungry gaze fixed on the exhausted wolf. Now Kyle not only needs to escape the crows, but also a predator much stronger than him. For a moment he thinks this might be his last fight. He steps back, paws slipping in the soft snow. The crows, noticing the bear, begin to disperse a little, but still hover nearby, ready to attack. The bear roars, rearing up on its hind legs, and Kyle knows he has only seconds to act. Your mind works fast. He watches the canyon walls, the tree branches growing above, and then he has an idea. Kyle knows that he cannot defeat an adult bear alone. He needs to think fast. His gaze scans the surrounding terrain, and then he notices something, a huge dead tree leaning over the edge of the gorge with long, heavy branches covered in snow and ice. The ravens still circle overhead, but now they are divided between the wolf and the bear. Kyle takes a few steps back, growling as if cornered. The bear roars and charges forward, its giant paws sinking into the snow. At the last second, the wolf jumps to the side and digs its claws into a low rock, gaining momentum to leap towards the dead tree. With his weight, he makes the tree sway violently. The fragile structure starts to crack, and before the bear knows it, a huge branch covered in snow and ice falls right on top of him. The snow collapses like an avalanche, partially burying the animal. The bear roars, confused and furious, but temporarily immobilized. The crows, frightened by the sudden movement, begin to disperse, their black wings contrasting against the white of the landscape. The wolf, panting, stares at the scene. For a moment, he feels a flash of triumph. But then, he notices something. Worrying, its front paw is injured. The crow's attack left deep marks, and now every step is painful. He can't stay there for long. The bear, even though trapped, will soon free itself. The crows may return, and the approaching snowstorm will give you no respite. Kyle has to find shelter and recover. But the only way out of the gorge requires him to cross a dangerous pass where the ice could give way at any moment. He takes a deep breath and decides to move on. Kyle limps through the narrow canyon passage. The wind howls around you, kicking up swirls of fine snow that make it difficult to see. Every step on the cracked ice is a risk, one wrong move, and he could plummet into the abyss below. The pain in his injured paw intensifies, but he can't stop. The bear behind him has already started to move under the snow that was burying him. Kyle hears their distant roars and the sound of branches breaking. He doesn't have much time. Suddenly, a boom echoes through the canyon. The ice beneath his paws cracks once more, and before he can react, the floor gives way. The wolf feels. His body plummet for a few meters until he falls suddenly into a hidden cave beneath the snow. The fall stuns him, and for a moment he remains motionless, his labored breathing creating small clouds of steam in the cold air. Light enters through a crack in the cave ceiling, illuminating glowing ice stalactites. But Kyle is not alone. From the other side of the cave, a pair of amber eyes watch him in the darkness. It's another wolf. Thinner and younger than Kyle, the stranger remains alert, as if assessing whether Kyle is a threat. The wounded wolf knows he is at a disadvantage. He can't fight, but to his surprise, the young wolf does not attack. Instead, he approaches cautiously, sniffing the air. Kyle notices something unusual. This wolf's scent is not alone. There are others in the cave. He just found one hidden pack. For the first time in a long time, Kale feels something different inside him, a spark of hope. But he still needs to decide whether to trust these new wolves or try to go it alone. Kyle maintains his defensive posture, his gaze fixed on the young wolf in front of him. The stranger sniffs the air again, hesitates, and then lets out a low howl, calling the other members of his pack. From the shadows of the cave, 3 adult wolves and 2 cubs emerge. They are thin, their thick fur is stained with snow and dirt. This is not a strong pack. On the contrary, they seem as hungry and worn out as Kale. He notices that there is something different in their eyes. It's not a threat, it's recognition. The oldest wolf in the pack approaches slowly, keeping his head down in a non-aggressive gesture. He circles Kyle, sniffing his scarred fur, his bruised body. Kyle understands what is happening. They are evaluating whether he can be part of them. A distant noise breaks the silence. The bear. The bear managed to free itself and is moving towards the hole Kale fell through. The pack also notices. The young wolf who found him first growls at the top, and the others prepare. They're not strong alone, but together, maybe they have a chance. Kyle realizes he now has a choice: fight alongside the pack, finally accepting that he needs others to survive, trying to escape alone, refusing to trust strangers. He looks at the wolves around him. The young wolf is at his side, ready to face the danger with him. For the first time, Kyle feels like he doesn't have to fight alone. The bear jumps into the cave. He's furious, hurt, and ready to destroy anyone in his path. Kyle, Ivor, and the pack responds. They attack together. The fight is intense. The wolves move quickly, biting and dodging the bear's attacks. Kyle leaps at the large predator, sinking his teeth into the back of its neck, while the others bite its paws and sides. The bear howls in pain, twisting its body and trying to get away from them, but the pack is persistent. Finally, the bear retreats. Wounded and exhausted, he decides this battle is not worth it. With one last roar, he drags himself away, disappearing into the snowstorm outside. Kyle stares at the other wolves, his muscles still tense from the adrenaline. But something changed. You are no longer alone. The cave is silent. Snow blows through the hole above, but the danger has passed. The bear is gone. Kyle remains standing, his breathing still labored. He feels the warmth of the other wolves around him, their eyes glowing in the dim light. For the first time in a long time, he no longer has to fight alone. The older wolf approaches again. This time, he's not just sizing up Kale, he's recognizing his strength. With a firm look, he touches his nose to Kale's, a gesture of acceptance. The young wolf that found him first wags his tail, approaching too. Kyle understands what this means. He is part of the pack now. In the following days, Kyle learns to live with the group. They hunt together, share their food, and protect themselves from the biting cold. His solitary instinct is still there, but something new grows within him. The understanding that sometimes strength doesn't just come from fighting alone, but from having someone by your side to face the challenges. One day, at dawn, Kyle climbs a snow-covered hill. The wind blows in his face, and he surveys the vast territory in front of him. This is no longer just uncharted territory. Now, it's your home. Behind him, the pack gathers, ready to move forward. Kyle raises his head and lets out a long, deep howl, which echoes across the immensity of the mountains. One by one, the other. Wolves join him, their howls intertwining in the air. He is not alone. It will never be again. Months have passed since the day Kyle found the pack. The harsh winter gave way to a cold spring, but full of new opportunities. Snow still covers parts of the mountains, but life is beginning to resurface in the valleys below. Kyle is no longer a lone wolf. He became a leader, not by imposition, but by merit. The older wolf, once leader of the pack, now follows in his footsteps with respect. The young wolf who found him in the cave became an inseparable brother. Together, they taught the cubs to hunt, survive, and protect each other. That morning, Kyle stands atop a cliff, overlooking the territory he now calls home. The pack grew. They are now a strong, united group, capable of facing any challenge. But life in nature is never static. On the horizon, new challenges lurk. Kyle sees strange tracks in the snow, paw prints of creatures that don't belong to that territory. Maybe other wolves, maybe something more dangerous. He takes a deep breath. This time, you won't face anything alone. Without hesitation, he raises his head and howls at his pack. The other wolves, without delay, respond to the call. Together they head down the hill, ready for whatever comes, because a pack never abandons one of its own. End.